What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the South Side. Today we're going to be replacing these struts with these struts. So before I start any work on the car, I took off the top seal here, or the top cover here, and I made a mark saying how deep the nut goes onto the threads because I don't have the proper tool to torque this nut down. It's on order. I'll get it eventually, but for now I just want to get it working. So that's the first step. Next, we're going to take the wheel off. 17 millimeter. So the first thing I want to do is to take this nut off right here. You're going to need a 16 millimeter wrench as well as a 16 millimeter socket. So there's a pair of flats on the back of this bar that you want to try to slide your wrench into. You'll feel it when it goes in, and then you could just impact it off. Voila. Next we got an 18 mil bolt right there. I'm just gonna take these 3 nuts off. They're 13 mils. Should help it slide down a little easier. You can kind of see it just fail a little bit. Now I have the brake rotor supported by the jack so I don't put any stress on my brake line. Right here. We're gonna try to lower this thing down and get the strut out. Don't forget to take this sensor off the control arm. You don't want to break it. It's for your headlight leveling system if you have xenons. I think it's a 10 mil. Wrong. It's actually a 13. Now that we got our strut out, we have to disassemble everything. If you recall in the beginning of the video, I said that there was a nut. That nut is what keeps all of this from exploding apart. This spring is under tension, so if I were to take that nut off on the car, it wouldn't be pretty. So there's a special tool for this called a spring compressor. Yeah, I know, real original. So what this does is it goes on the coils and just compresses them and releases some of the tension off of this portion here. That way we can take the nut off without any damage. Is that bent? Maybe a little bent. Anyway, let's take the spring off. I'm gonna move my spring compressor tool so I have an even number of rungs compressed. If your compressor isn't balanced, your spring compressor isn't balanced, then you run the risk of it slipping off or, just all around bad things happening. You know what? I'm just gonna run it. 7/8 socket, because I don't have my 22 millimeter. This will work good enough. Pray for me, y'all. He didn't die. So that was how much force was left. It's gonna be a pain to put back on, but we got it off, and that was the most important part. Let's show y'all what the new parts look like. Actually, first let's show y'all what the old parts look like. There's supposed to be grease in here, and when I show you the new top hat you'll see, but this one is all dry and cracked up, meaning 16 years old, 200,000 miles. Yep, that'll do it. And it also feels, it's not smooth, it's gritty feeling. All right, the strut is self-explanatory. I compressed it down, and oh wait, it's trying. Come on, little guy, come on. That's you. We're gonna show you the guy she told you not to worry about in a minute. Now that we got our parts nicely lined up, let's go through them. Starting with the strut. the lower spring isolator, the dust boot, the bump stop, the upper spring isolator, goes on top of the spring, the upper spring mounting plate thingy, washer, I'm not going to touch this, the dust cover for the strut mount, which goes on there. Actually, I'm going to put it on there now because I do not want any grit to fall in here, causing any premature wear. Move that over. Another reinforcement plate. This time it's for the strut housing, the strut tower, and 3 new bolts. So I want to revisit this old strut mount right here. If you look, you can kind of see how the bolts form like a Y shape. That's not supposed to happen. They're supposed to be straight, perpendicular. And if you look at this one, see how the bolts are straight? So I'm assuming we have some distortion of the strut tower, which I hope this reinforcement plate helps A, prevent, and B, fix the damage that already has occurred. Actually, for giggles, let's try God, am I being sorry today? Probably. Yep. Look at that. That's supposed to be flat. You can still see some thread sticking out right there. Oh man. Good thing I'm doing this now. The first few steps are easy. All of this until I get to the strut mount. Piece of cake. When I have to compress that spring over there, oh boy. All right, let's start. Come out. And it begins. So you gotta compress the spring to take it off, and you also gotta compress it to put it back on. Can't you just hear the excitement in my voice? Ugh. Feel my life flashing before my eyes. This, as a car person, is one of the scary things you will ever see working on a car. Well, maybe that and a jack stand going, but probably this one. I'm legit kind of scared to talk. I don't want anything to set this thing off. Y'all see the problem? This is preventing this from sliding into the first coil, so it's not giving me enough space here. Now I have to start over. Success. And I didn't die. Alright, let's take these things off. They are still scaring me. We're in the home stretch now. Only thing left to do is to install our reinforcement plate and mount our strut back up. We have our nuts and our bolts. We got to torque all the bolts down. The bottom one here is 60 foot-pounds. And the top ones are 25 foot-pounds. Here we have our ruler that we made with the original top nut. I went ahead and impacted this new nut, and it's pretty good. It's close enough. At least it's good enough until the actual tool gets here and I can torque it down to the proper spec. And one of the final things to do is to install new sway bar links, because I mean they're already halfway taken apart. Why not put in new ones? Alright, we're under the car behind the sway bar link nut. It's the same procedure as the top one, so you can see my wrench that I have there. It's gonna hold the other part of the bolt, I guess, steady while I impact the nut off. So let's give it a shot. That didn't work too well, did it? Alright, and it worked. I just had to use 2 hands to hold this wrench on here. Sorry I couldn't get the video for you guys, but it's pretty simple. Time to install our sway bar link. It's pretty uneventful. I think you guys get the picture. Torque both sides to 48 foot-pounds. And you're done. Now you have brand new struts, brand new strut mounting hats, brand new bump stops, old springs, but it doesn't matter, they're springs, and new sway bar links, stabilizer bar links. Looks good. Let's move to the next part.